Ready?
Yes.
My name is Nicole Moore, and I'm the Director of Education here at the National Center for Civil and Human Rights. And I have been asked to talk a little bit about Dr. King and feminism. One of the things that I think people don't realize is that Dr. King leaned on women a lot. He sought their guidance. In fact, some of his biggest influences were women. His editor, Joan Davies, was one of the few people who looked out for him financially and his family. Dr. King had this very charitable ability to just give away royalties. And she was one of the people who said, listen, you have a family. You need to take care of them. Let's set some stuff aside. His secretaries, they kept him grounded. The women that we don't hear about, Septima Clark, she was the one that did a lot of the voter registration education for SCLC. And Dr. King leaned on these women not just because he knew that they could get the job done, but because he understood their importance. He knew that they were being overshadowed. And so he tried to, y'all, I have a dream comes from a woman. A woman said that. And he gave her credit. But it's really one of those things where I think people miss growing up, or not growing up because he was a full adult, but being a man in power in the 50s and the 60s, it is very much a man's world. But he knew that his success wasn't his own. In fact, his whole foray into social justice really comes from his wife, Mrs. King. One of the things that I love is one of their love letters, if you will. I was doing research on an exhibit, and one of the letters was, the kind of, in the beginning, maybe the first paragraph was, oh, I miss you, and oh. And then it's like, but did you read that chapter that I sent you about this? And they start talking and dialoguing through their letters about issues of racism and social justice. And it's really interesting because I want to say he might have had more fruitful conversations with women, because he is not only hearing it from them, but he is realizing as he is fighting for civil rights, he is still fighting peers who don't want women to speak on the dais at the March on Washington. He is dealing with people who would rather position themselves in power and not realize that Dorothy Height is the reason why they were able to plan the march in D.C., because she offered up the space of the, Lord, I forgot the organization, but the organization that she ran, she offered up space. I don't think we give enough credit to how women shaped Dr. King. He had an incredible relationship with his mother, an incredible relationship with his grandmother. He, from what I know, never shunned a woman. And when you think back to, the biggest influences or the people around him, you'll hear about the Andy Youngs and you'll see the other men. But when you dig deep into his archives and into the confidences that he had, it's going to be with women, it's going to be with the people in his office, and it's going to be with the people who really honestly looked out for his best interest. Why we don't talk about that enough, I am not sure. I think partially because when we think about King and women, everybody starts to snicker, and they're just like, hee, 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 because people are salacious. But what they don't realize is that without the efforts and work of women, we don't have the Dr. King that we know. And without the support of those women, we don't have the Dr. King who was able to do the things that he did.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.